Good afternoon, Year 4. I hope that you're all okay and are doing well and enjoying a good balance between doing your home learning online and enjoying and spending some time doing the things that you love. I've got your SCARF lesson for today, and we are going to be looking at risks and dangers and how to keep ourselves safe. So I will share my screen with you and get on with it. I think I'm recording. Yeah, there we go. Just checking I was recording again. So this is our what for SCARF today. We are going to define the terms danger and risk and hazard. And it's important so that we can explain the differences between these words and identify the situations that might be involving a danger, a risk, or a hazard, because it's not always negative when it comes to things being a risk, for example. And we'll look at that in more detail this lesson. And this is part of the keeping myself safe. So, as a little starter activity, I want you to pause the video for me and go through and decide whether each of these activities is safe or unsafe. So pause and decide on those for me. Have a little think. Okay, so crossing a busy road. It can be unsafe, it is unsafe, but we can teach ourselves strategies and ways of approaching the situation that can make ourselves safe within it. But generally, crossing a busy road can be very unsafe. Drinking from an unlabeled bottle, I would say that's also unsafe because you don't know what's in it. Playing near a railway line, that I would say is also unsafe because of the potential risks and the hazards that could come from it, the danger potentially in that situation is that there could be a train going past and we could get stuck or something. Singing in front of the whole school, I would say that although you might feel nervous and maybe feel negatively about it, it's not an unsafe thing to do. I would say it's a safe thing to do. School is a safe environment for you to have a go at singing in front of it, whether it's something you are anxious about or something that you are very confident with. Playing in the school rounders netball football team, that again it's safe. I mean, you might injure yourself if you fall over, for example, but on the whole it is a safe thing because the environment is safe. School and the team make sure that you will be safe when you're playing the game. So I would say the risks involved, such as injuring yourself or falling over, are generally reduced, making it quite a safe activity. Talking to a stranger online, I would say, is unsafe in pretty much every way. It's not safe, especially because they are a stranger that we do not know, and online can be very, very different to real life. So I would say that is also unsafe. So that has introduced us to the idea that some things are safe and some things are okay, and some things are unsafe and do have risks and potential dangers to them. So I'm going to reveal the definitions of dangers, risks, and hazards. And then I would like to think of an example of something that is a danger, of something that is a risk, and something that is a hazard. Okay, so a danger is defined as something which will definitely cause harm. Think about the word dangerous. If something is dangerous, it can cause harm. So something which will definitely cause harm is a danger. A risk is an action which is taken in a hazardous situation. So a risk is an action that you take and it can cause certain things, and it is taken in a hazardous situation. To understand that definition, we need to understand hazard. So hazard is something which could cause harm. So your hazard and your hazardous situation here is a situation that could cause you harm, and you take an action in that situation. And a danger is something that definitely causes harm. So I'm going to let you pause the video, have a little read of those definitions. You might even want to write them down in your yellow exercise book, your home learning book, as a reminder of those definitions for you. And then can you think of an example for each of those words? Okay, so before we move on, I just want to mention and have a little bit of a discussion about the fact that risks can be positive or negative. They can sometimes have a positive outcome or sometimes have a negative outcome. So taking a risk does not always involve something necessarily negative. For example, if you are not very confident and you don't feel confident about, I'll take the singing in front of the school example again. Singing in front of the school, you might be confident or you might not be confident. If you're not confident, that might feel to you risky. It might feel like you're taking a risk doing that. But by the end, having done it, you can feel good after it. So a risk doesn't always have to be seen in a negative way, depending on the situation. If it is a hazardous situation that could cause you harm and is likely to cause you harm, then it would be a negative risk and it would be something that we advise against. But some risks that we take in our daily lives can help us grow and can develop us as well. So there is a difference there between the kinds of risk that we can face and that we can take. Okay, so before we move on to our reflection, I am going to share with you a task. I'm just going to get it up for you. Okay, so now that you've got those definitions in your book and that we've had a discussion and a think about those 3 words, I would like you to complete this task. So it is danger, risk, or hazard. You are given a range of actions, which I will show you all of them and give you a chance to pause the video in a second, but you're given a list of actions and you need to decide whether they are a danger, a risk, or a hazard. So I'd like you to copy down the action. I'd like you to write down jumping off a cliff in your book, and then I would like you to write an equal sign and tell me whether you think it's a danger, a risk, or a hazard. So jumping off a cliff is not just a risky action or not just a hazardous situation, it is danger. It is dangerous because it will cause a negative resolution. So it is dangerous, it will cause you harm. Thinking about that definition that we had, will cause harm. So it is definitely dangerous. A busy road is not a definite outcome of harm as long as you take the right precautions. So I would say that it's not necessarily dangerous. Again, you're not necessarily doing the action either if we look at the difference between these 2 actions. So a busy road is, I would say, a hazard because it is the situation. It is something that could cause harm. And then crossing a busy road might be a risk because it's an action that you take within a hazardous situation. So remember, a risk is the action that you take, and the hazard is something that can cause harm, and danger is something that will cause harm. Okay, so you've got action, you've got can cause harm, and you've got will cause harm. So I want you to pause for me, and I will scroll down in a second. You can pause again. If you pause so that you can copy down these actions and define them for me as danger, risk, or hazard. And then if I scroll down, where were we up to? We were up to touching a piece of metal, a red hot piece of metal. There we go. And if you pause again for me, you can finish the rest of those actions. Okay then, guys, so that was your task. And now that you've gone through those, I hope you have a bit of an understanding about what is an action that is a risk because of an action that you're taking, what is hazardous because it could cause harm, and what is dangerous because it will cause harm. And finally, just reflecting on risks in particular, because like I mentioned, risks don't always need to be something that has a negative outcome. So taking a risk, for example, singing in front of the school might feel like a risk to you. You take that risk, you overcome it, and you feel confident and you feel like you've grown because of it. That's not a negative risk. That's something that's had a positive outcome. So I'd like you to pause the video because it's going to end here. And see Daisy. I would like to pause the video because it's going to end here, and I'd like you to answer those 4 questions for me. What risks have you taken today? Why did you take those risks? How did you manage that risk so that it was safe? And who helped you manage that risk? Now, this is not necessarily the greatest example, but I took a risk today because it's not something that could have harmed me. It's something that could have upset me and made me feel a little stressed. My recording on my laptop for this video had no space left on it. And so I had to delete some videos that I'd already recorded for you for the earlier lessons on Monday and Tuesday. I had to delete those videos from my laptop. Now, my thought was that this is a risk because it could end up that it deletes them completely and then I've lost all of the work that I've done recording these videos for you. So I took the risk because I needed to record more videos for you. That's why I took it. And I managed it to make it safe, to make it so that it won't upset me and won't hopefully go wrong. I deleted one video first, and then double check that it was still loaded online and it was still accessible. And then when that one was okay, I then deleted the rest. So I broke it down and did a small version of it first, and then I deleted the rest. And I know that that is not the biggest risk at all. It is a small risk that probably wouldn't have had a huge effect on me, but it could have made me feel a little bit worried and a little bit maybe even upset if I'd lost the work. So it's just one example of a risk that I've taken. So what risks have you taken and how did you manage it? Okay, and that is the end of our scarf lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you reflecting and telling me what risks you've taken. I'm really looking forward to that. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you very, very soon. See you later, guys.